Man, time moves fast because we are already at the start of another award season. Hi, my name is Charles, and today I'm going to be talking about the Oscars, specifically my top 10 Best Picture winners. The Oscars have been around for 93 years at this point, which means we have 93 Best Picture winners. And out of all 93 Best Picture winners, I've only seen about 66, I have only seen 66 of them, which is about 70% of them, which to me is a good ratio because 93 movies is a lot of movies to watch. Honestly, watching 66 of them is a good enough amount for me. I would love to watch the last 27 movies that I haven't seen yet and rank all the Best Picture winners, but I just don't know if I have it in me to watch the rest of the Best Picture winners, but you'll never know. You'll never know. I might do that eventually, but right now I'm just like, I don't know if I'm gonna do that. Since we're entering a new Oscar season already, I thought it'd be fun to talk about my top 10 Best Picture winners of all time. And making this top 10 list was hard because there are a lot of Best Picture winners that I really love, but oh god, getting it down to just a top 10 was, as I said, difficult because I really like a lot of the Best Picture winners. Sometimes people agree with the Best Picture winner every year at the Oscars, but sometimes people don't agree. And looking at my top 10 list, I'm pretty sure mostly everyone would agree that all these movies deserve to win. Maybe a few of them people might say they didn't deserve to win, but honestly, look at my list, I think all these movies deserve their Best Picture win. Okay, without further ado, let's just get into this with number 10. So at number 10 on my list, I have Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, and it came out in 2014, and it was directed by Alejandro Inarritu and has a huge cast from Michael Keaton, Emma Stone, Naomi Watts, Andrea Riseborough, Zach Galifianakis, and Edward Norton. For a second there, his name was almost about to escape my mind, but I caught it last second. When it comes to Birdman, I believe this movie has a lot to say about where we as society are when it comes to trying to be relevant, because a lot of people in our society today want to be known and want to be relevant and want to be well celebrated. And I just really think the movie does a great job looking at how people really want to be relevant and want to be someone. They don't want to be just anyone. They want to be someone that people talk about. And I just also love how it comments on the state of movies too, because the whole sequence where Birdman, aka Michael Keaton's alter ego, the person he played, which is basically Batman in this movie, shows up and he talks about people not wanting artsy films. They want action and they want explosion and they want a good time. And I just feel like this movie really delivers when it comes to those two themes especially. The movie is also a look at the creative process when it comes to creating art, because we are watching these people put on a play, and it really just is interesting to see all the moving pieces that go into making a play and all the messiness of it all. I mean, I've been in plays and musicals myself, so I know it can be very messy. So watching Birdman, I was just like, this really does hit the mark for me. This movie won 4 Oscars, of course Best Picture, but it also won for Best Director for Alejandro, which is very deserved. I know people didn't like the whole gimmick of the one-take shot of it all, and I know Alejandro's known for his gimmicky movies, like there's always like a little gimmick he does to make it interesting, but I just think Birdman is just so well directed, and oh my god. It won for cinematography as well, and very well deserved. And it also won for Best Original Screenplay, and it really deserved all 4 Oscars it won, especially Best Picture, because a lot of people were thinking Boyhood that year was gonna win Best Picture, but maybe I should rewatch Boyhood, because I just don't think Boyhood compares to Birdman, in my opinion. It just does not come anywhere close to what Birdman achieves. Then again, Boyhood has that whole gimmick too, where it's like they film that movie like in increments over time. So Boyhood and Birdman both had gimmicks at their sleeves, but I just feel like Birdman was stronger. It just had a stronger message, and it was just better constructed overall. It was just well done. Better well done than Boyhood was. Watching this movie in theaters was a true cinematic experience. I will never forget watching this movie in theaters. And the moment Emma Stone delivers her "you want to be relevant" monologue to Michael Keaton, I just think that that's when this movie clinched the Best Picture Oscar, honestly. Moving on to number 9, which is The Sound of Music, which came out in 1965. It's directed by Robert Wise, and it stars, of course, Julie Andrews, Christopher Plummer, and Elaine Parker, and a bunch of other people, but they're not, super prominently known actors, so I only named the first three people because they're known actors. But anyway, yeah. The Sound of Music is on another level of its own. There's never been a movie since The Sound of Music that can be compared to it. It's just one of a kind. It just is entertaining and it's very well constructed, and it's really hard to see a Best Picture winner that is not only entertaining, but you know, the craft of the movie itself deserves to be recognized, and this movie really did have everything, you know, to win Best Picture. The only other movie that could have beaten this movie was Dr. Zhivago, and I've seen Dr. Zhivago, and it's a really good movie, but at the same time, it's very not the kind of thing you want to rewatch over and over. The Sound of Music, not only is it very rewatchable, but it's just very good, and there's nothing really you can fault The Sound of Music for. This movie not only won Best Picture, it won Best Director, Best Film Editing, Best Score, and Best Sound, and that is 5 Oscars, and it honestly should have won probably one more, which would have been for Julie Andrews for Best Lead Actress. But you know what? Julie Christie took that Oscar, and honestly, it feels right that Julie Christie has an Oscar, but I don't know if Darling is the one that she should have won for. I should rewatch that movie because I didn't really like it when I watched it, but I vaguely remember that she was good in it, so maybe I'm mistaken. I should really rewatch that movie because I really do think that Julie Andrews should have walked away with her second Oscar, a consecutive Oscar. The Sound of Music is one of the highest grossing movies of all time when you adjust it for inflation, and people still watch in theaters today when they have like sing-along events for it. So it just really shows that The Sound of Music really has touched a lot of people's hearts, and that it is just so relevant today still. Oh my god. And also, the whole storyline in the movie when, you know, the Nazis invade and all that, that's when I'm like, whoa, we're going to some serious stuff here, you guys. We're done with the whole, like, silliness and fun. We are in danger drama mode now. Seriously, The Sound of Music just has everything you want. It has very fun moments. It has very nice musical numbers that are memorable. Most musicals, when they have musical numbers, you forget them. But The Sound of Music, you remember a lot of the musical numbers in them. And it just has drama, and it just has really good acting, a romance between Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer. Oh my god. There's just so much about The Sound of Music that really makes it one of the best picture winners of all time. For me, it is only number 9 because some of the other movies on my list are better and are more attuned to my taste, but The Sound of Music, it just had to be on this list because it is just that girl. This is one of the only adaptations of, you know, a Roger and Hammerstein musical that I actually like. I've seen so far State Fair and Carousel. So, out of the 3 that I've seen, I only like The Sound of Music. But I have The King and I and also Oklahoma left to check. There might be one more other that I need to check, but so far The Sound of Music is the only one that has really successfully translated to a really good movie. So, The Sound of Music, it really is just an amazing movie. It just has the right tone of story and musical numbers that I just cannot not love it. It's funny that Christopher Plummer really didn't like making this movie. He talked about it when he was alive, that he didn't like this movie and he didn't like Julie Andrews at the time of making this movie. It's wild. It's wild. I'm just like, okay, Chris, why are you in this movie then? Why are you in this movie? Oh my god, he is so hot in this movie. Okay, so number 8 on my list would have to be The Apartment, which came out in 1960, directed by the iconic Billy Wilder, starring also the very iconic Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine. The Apartment is a romance movie, if you didn't know, and it honestly owes a lot of its success to the movie It Happened One Night, which is one of the first Best Picture winners. I believe it's like the 5th or 6th Best Picture winner, and that movie is a romance movie, and it is also the first movie ever to win all 5 big awards at the Oscars. The Apartment and other romance movies really all borrow from the blueprint that is It Happened One Night. I honestly would have put It Happened One Night over The Apartment, but I just feel like Billy Wilder's script and also the acting from both Shirley MacLaine and Jack Lemmon really elevate The Apartment higher than It Happened One Night. Even though It Happened One Night is very impressive, I just feel like The Apartment is just more modern than It Happened One Night. This movie not only won Best Picture, but it won Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best Film Editing, and Best Production Design, and it's all very well deserved. And hey, it won 5 Oscars just like It Happened One Night, just not the big 5 Oscars. The Apartment really is a heartbreaking movie, and I would have preferred if this movie followed Shirley MacLaine's character over Jack Lemmon's character, but that's just the way that Billy Wilder set it up, and Shirley MacLaine really should have won that Oscar that year, but you know, Elizabeth Taylor's almost like death really got her the votes to win, and she's not even proud of that win for Butterfield 8, so it's all good. Shirley MacLaine got her Oscar at the end of the day, but maybe she should have had 2 Oscars and not just 1 for Terms of Endearment. I mean, I'm just saying, she really is iconic in The Apartment. The Apartment really is just a great movie, and it's a great romance movie, as it gives you everything you can want, from a great pairing between Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine. Gives you a lot of laughs because Billy Wilder is known for being able to make really good jokes in this movie, and also, it just gives you the drama, because there's a lot of drama in this movie, and once again, that drama really breaks your heart when you're watching, like, Shirley MacLaine's character go through what she has to go through. Oh my god. The Apartment really is just an astounding movie, and it isn't really thought of when it comes to one of the best picture winners because it's a romance movie, but it deserves a lot more respect. And so does It Happened One Night, because once again, all other romance movies wouldn't happen if it wasn't for It Happened One Night setting the blueprint. Okay, jumping from number 8 to number 7, we have The Lost Weekend, which came out in 1945, directed once again by Billy Wilder, starring Ray Milland and Jane Wyman. This movie is really a harrowing look at alcoholism, and especially for the time, no one really addressed alcoholism on film like this, and this movie really just went for it. It is just so dark about alcoholism and the spiraling that happens when you become an alcoholic and the things that happen to you and how you destroy your life and you can destroy other people's lives. Oh my god, this movie is just so dark, as I said, and just so on the nose, but it just really works because Billy Wilder really wrote the shit out of this movie. This movie not only won Best Picture, but it won Best Director for Billy Wilder. It won Best Actor for Ray Milland, and Ray Milland is just so brilliant in this movie, and his performance really is one of my favorite Best Actor winning performances at the Oscars. And also this movie won Best Original Screenplay, which, Billy Wilder wrote the screenplay for this movie, so he won 2 Oscars for just this one movie. You can watch this movie today and it still holds up very, very well. I mean, alcoholism has not changed since this movie came out, and if you watch this movie, it really is a harrowing watch of alcoholism, so if you have the stomach for that, then watch it, because I think this movie is just so brilliant. It's so brilliant, and it's one of Billy Wilder's best movies in my opinion. Shout out to Mildred Pierce, because Mildred Pierce was also nominated for Best Picture this year, and if The Lost Weekend didn't win, it should have went to Mildred Pierce, because Mildred Pierce is also a brilliant movie, and it really should be more talked about, but it really isn't. But then again, The Lost Weekend isn't talked about as much either, so honestly, go watch The Lost Weekend if you haven't seen it yet, because as I keep saying, it's a brilliant movie, and you should see it just for Ray Milland's performance alone, because his performance is just mind-blowing. Okay, number 6 on the list is Rebecca, which came out in 1940, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, and it stars Laurence Olivier, Joan Fontaine, George Sanders, and Judith Anderson. Rebecca really does not get the respect it deserves, because it is an amazing Best Picture winner, and it is an amazing Alfred Hitchcock movie, but when it comes to either of those things, people just really do not talk about it enough. When it comes to being an Alfred Hitchcock movie, Rebecca really isn't appreciated enough, especially by the general public, because I feel like it's Alfred Hitchcock's older movies that most people associate with him, not his earlier movies like Foreign Correspondent, Rebecca, Notorious, Spellbound. These movies are movies that are really left behind because, Alfred Hitchcock really upped his game late in his career, and those movies really have the enduring legacy. But it's unfair because Rebecca is a brilliant movie, and I know that Alfred Hitchcock didn't like how it ended up, but it's because David O. Selznick really pushed Alfred into doing things he didn't want to do that this movie came out brilliant. When it comes to being a Best Picture winner, I just don't understand why people don't talk about Rebecca enough. It's like people don't even know Rebecca won Best Picture, and it's weird because Rebecca is one of the finest Best Picture winners there are. It is a gothic romance, and it's serving you mystery, it's serving you romance, it's serving you drama, it's just giving you everything you could want, but people just don't talk about this enough. This movie only won 2 Oscars, Best Picture and Best Cinematography Black and White, and I just feel like it should have won a lot more. It should have at least won Best Actress for Joan Fontaine. Oh my god, her fawn, like deer in the headlights looks that she was giving in this movie. Give me life. Give me life. It gives me so much life. And there are two scenes in this movie. The first scene is when, Mrs. Danvers is showing the second Mrs. De Winter around Rebecca's old room. That was amazing. Amazing acting by both Joan Fontaine and Judith Anderson. But also the scene at the ball when Judith Anderson is basically suggesting to the second Mrs. De Winter that she jump out the window. Oh my god. The way it was filmed, the cinematography, the acting for both of them. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. This movie just deserves a lot more than 2 Oscars only. If you haven't seen Rebecca yet, what are you doing? What are you doing? I know I just said if you haven't seen The Lost Weekend, you should watch that. But if you haven't seen Rebecca, rush to watch that movie first because Rebecca is just an amazing movie. And it's 2 hours and 10 minutes, but it doesn't feel like that at all. It goes by so fast because it's just so entrancing. Moving on to number 5 on my list, which is Chicago, which came out in 2002, directed by Rob Marshall, of course starring Renee Zellweger, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Richard Gere, Queen Latifah, Taye Diggs, and also John C. Reilly. I almost forgot about him, but I got him. I got him. Chicago is the best musical of all time for me. I know I said The Sound of Music is something that can't be recreated, but Chicago is something of its own. It doesn't need to be The Sound of Music. It is edgier than The Sound of Music, and it just has a lot more to say. It has a lot to say about women in society and also trying to make it in the entertainment business and also relevancy, something that Birdman talks about in its movie. This movie also talks about. This movie not only won Best Picture, but it won Best Supporting Actress for Catherine Zeta-Jones. It's one of the best supporting actress wins of all time. I mean, her All That Jazz number at the very start of this movie is what clinched her Oscar win from the get-go. Not to mention that she has the Cell Block Tango and also I Can't Do It Alone and the Honey Rag at the end with Renee Zellweger. Ooh, she has a lot of great moments through musical numbers, but she also has a lot of great moments that are just acting-wise, so her Oscar win was cemented, baby. And this movie also won Best Art Direction, Best Sound, Best Film Editing, and Best Costume Design by Colleen Atwood, and all these Oscars are very much deserved. It would have been even better if Renee Zellweger won for Best Lead Actress because Roxy Hart is her best performance ever, and she really did deserve to win that year. But you know what? They had to make it up to Nicole because she didn't win for Moulin Rouge because she did deserve to win for Moulin Rouge. That's like controversial tea, but she did deserve to win that year. And so she won for The Hours, and Renee was robbed, and it just sucks. And also, if Richard Gere was nominated and won Best Supporting Actor because his performance as Billy Flynn is just amazing, and it's just as good as Catherine Zeta-Jones as Velma Kelly. So if it just won those two, and also if Rob Marshall won, because I know that Roman Polanski in The Pianist did an amazing job directing that movie, but Rob Marshall did an amazing job with Chicago, and the direction of that movie is something that you have never seen before and haven't seen since. So I just think the Academy made a huge mistake not giving this movie those 3 Oscars. People thought Gangs of New York or The Pianist were going to win Best Picture this year, but Chicago came up from behind and said, wait a minute, bitch, we are really well made, we made a lot of money too, and we are the moment, so give it to us. And when they won, I said, yes, a moment in histoire. Okay, moving on to number 4 on my list, which is Parasite from 2019, directed by Bong Joon-ho, starring Song Kang-ho. I don't feel like saying all the other people's names, so look it up if you want to know the rest of them. But yes. Parasite is the little train that could, because no one thought it could win Best Picture, but as the award season kept happening, it slowly was heading toward the front, and by the end of the night, Oscar night, it won over 1917, and it very much deserved to win because it just has a lot to say about class, especially right now, because right now in a society, as like not only in America but around the world, there has a lot to do with, the rich versus the poor, and I just feel like this movie really beautifully tackled that issue head on. Amazing direction from Bong Joon-ho, amazing story, amazing acting by the whole cast, and overall this movie is just unclockable. I don't see any negatives to this movie at all. This movie won not only Best Picture, but it won Best Directing for Bong Joon-ho. It won Best Original Screenplay, and Bong Joon-ho is one of the writers of this movie, so he won another Oscar. And this movie also won Best International Feature Film, so this movie won 4 Oscars. And Bong Joon-ho gets to have how many Oscars? I believe 1, 2, I think he has 4 for this movie because I think he produced Parasite too, so he won Best Picture as well. So Bong Joon-ho got 4 Oscars from this movie, baby. It's so iconic that this movie won Best Picture because it's the first foreign film to win Best Picture. And honestly, we should see more of that because if America wants to stay competitive in, the film market, then they got to be looking at what other things other countries are putting out because the film industries in other countries are really starting to grow, so you can't ignore their movies. And on that note, I just got to say that Portrait of a Lady on Fire deserved to be nominated for Best Picture as well in other categories this year. But, Neon, which was doing Parasite, didn't have enough money to, do both Parasite and Portrait of a Lady on Fire. But I just wish that, Academy voters did the work themselves and saw how brilliant Portrait of a Lady on Fire was and nominated that as well because that movie deserves so much love as well. I honestly watched Parasite way too much when it came out. I saw it in theaters and then I saw it like 2 times on Blu-ray when it came out, so I watched them all too close together, so I really cannot watch Parasite for a while now. I need to distance myself for a while, that way I'm not so over it, because right now I've watched it 3 times, and the last time I watched it I was like, I've overexposed myself to this movie. I love it, but it's overexposed to me right now, so I probably should wait like at least until next year to rewatch it because that way it's a little bit more, new to me and not so like fresh in my mind. Okay, moving on to number 3 on my list, which is Ordinary People, which came out in 1980, directed by Robert Redford, starring Mary Tyler Moore, Donald Sutherland, Timothy Hutton, and Judd Hirsch. This movie is a family drama, and I live for family dramas. I live for the dysfunctionality of it all. I live for the drama of it all. And this movie was giving you like pot boiling family drama as the movie is going on. You can just see it simmering and ooh, oh my god, the explosion at the end. It is just something I love to see every time. This movie was going up against Raging Bull, and a lot of people believe that this movie stole a lot of Raging Bull's Oscar wins, mainly Best Picture and Best Director. But I gotta say, I believe that just because this movie isn't all action doesn't mean it didn't deserve its win. It really had something to say about families and also forgiveness and trying to move on. And I just feel like that was something stronger than what was going on in Raging Bull because honestly, I like Raging Bull a lot, but I don't remember what the point of that story was other than basically to be a biography of like the man's life in Raging Bull. Everyone in this movie is giving a brilliant performance, but my favorite performance in this movie is Timothy Hutton. He is just amazing, and the scene he has at the end with Judd Hirsch at the therapy office, oh my god. It is heartbreaking, and every time I see it, I cry. I cry so many tears because not only what's going on in the scene is sad, but Timothy Hutton is just breaking my heart in that scene. So that scene is just something that touches my heart every time. Mary Tyler Moore could have won her Oscar. I'm just saying, she could have won if she just went into supporting, which her character is, but she's the only woman in the movie really, so they put her in lead. But if they just put her in supporting, she could have beaten Mary Steenburgen that year, so that's on the movie-studio's fault. Donald Sutherland, where was his Oscar nomination? Where was his Oscar nomination? He deserved one, and he never really got a competitive Oscar nomination, so what up, Oscars? Y'all hate him or something? I mean, I know y'all gave him a honorary Oscar, but he deserved a nomination for so many movies. So many movies. This movie not only won Best Picture, but it won Best Director for Robert Redford. It won Best Supporting Actor for Timothy Hutton, and it won Best Adapted Screenplay. So those are 4 pretty good Oscar wins for this movie. Honestly, I just believe that Ordinary People is such an underrated Best Picture winner. It's really hated like the same way that Shakespeare in Love is hated because it beats something that people think is better. But Ordinary People is just an amazing movie, and if you haven't seen it, go look at it because it really is just a heartbreaking family drama, and I just love it so much, and it really just touches my heart every time. Moving on to number 2 on my list, which is the extremely iconic movie, Titanic from 1997, directed by James Cameron, starring, Kate Winslet, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kathy Bates, Billy Zane, Frances Fisher, Gloria Stewart, Bill Paxton, and Victor Garber. This movie is one of the highest grossing movies of all time, adjusted for inflation and also not adjusted for inflation. I mean, it just shows the power this movie has that people return to it over and over again, not only when it comes on in theaters, but when people see it on streaming services. I mean, I watched this movie this year for Valentine's Day, and it felt like I was watching it for the first time. I don't know why, but it felt like I was watching for the first time, and I was just so enraptured in it. Titanic really is just a moment in cinema where I really wish I could see in theaters. Whenever it goes back in theaters, I want to see it in theaters because it is just such a moment to see in theaters. It is just so cinematic, and I really just want to experience what everyone in 1997 experienced. This movie won 11 Oscars, including Best Picture. Give me a second, because I gotta read off the list, because I cannot remember every single Oscar it won. It won Best Picture, Best Director for James Cameron. It won Best Cinematography, Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, Best Sound, Best Film Editing, Best Special Effects, Best Visual Effects. Oh, I guess the other one was Best Effects, Sound Effects. What the heck is that? Best Original Song for My Heart Will Go On. Iconic Song, Iconic. And Best Original Score. Wow. Wow, this movie really cleaned up at the Oscars. I gotta say, this movie also should have won for Best Lead Actress for Kate Winslet. I mean, I like Helen Hunt in As Good as It Gets, but I just think that not only is Kate Winslet brilliant in this movie, but she's having her ingenue moment, so I just feel like she should have been rewarded with an Oscar. I'm just saying. The Titanic, girl, Rose, there was enough space in that door for both you and Jack. You just gotta be at different angles, or you could have just taken turns. Either way, he didn't have to die. He didn't have to die, girl. And finally, at number 1 on my list, I have the iconic All About Eve from 1950, directed by Joseph Mankiewicz, starring Bette Davis, Anne Baxter, George Sanders, Celeste Holm, with little special appearances from Marilyn Monroe and Thelma Ritter. All About Eve really is the movie for me because, like Birdman, it's showing the interworkings of show business and how it works, especially for women in show business, because it's showing how, as you get older as a woman, you basically start to become the not hot thing. And then there's always someone in the wings waiting to become the next big thing who's younger than you and prettier than you. It is just serving you not only realism, but also it's giving you a very juicy and melodramatic story. This Oscar season, it was really all about Eve versus Sunset Boulevard, but Sunset Boulevard was never going to win because All About Eve is condemning what's going on in Broadway and in theaters. So Hollywood was like, we applaud that, expose them, but Sunset Boulevard was exposing the movie industry. So they were like, nah, y'all, we are even surprised you would even have the gall to write this, let alone make a movie about this. So that ain't happening. But at least Sunset Boulevard won for Best Story and Screenplay, but All About Eve won for Best Screenplay. So I don't understand how that works, but I'm happy they both have screenplay wins because they both deserve them. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't understand how this is going on with these categories, but whatever. All About Eve is an amazing movie. It is honestly a perfect movie for me, and whoever the reviewer is who gave All About Eve a negative review recently and knocked it down from 100 to 99% is a monster, and they deserve prison honey. When it comes to the Best Actress race this year, I'm still gagged that Bette Davis or Gloria Swanson didn't win this year for either All About Eve or Sunset Boulevard respectively, but Judy Holliday in Born Yesterday is also giving an amazing performance, so I can't be mad that she won. I think it's just because All About Eve and Sunset Boulevard are just so serious that the voters probably were just like, let's go with Born Yesterday because it's a little bit more comedic, even though it has its dramatic moments as well. And Eleanor Parker is also in this lineup for Caged, and I hear she gives an amazing performance in that too. So I really like a lot of people who are obsessed with Oscars want to know the voting breakdown of the category of Best Lead Actress in the year 1950 for reasons of I want to see how close the race was. Not only did this movie win Best Picture, but it won Best Supporting Actor for George Sanders, it won Best Director, Best Screenplay, as I said earlier, Best Costume Design by Edith Head, and also Best Sound. So this movie won 6 Oscars, and I think that I don't really know how I feel about Best Sound, because I don't really remember anything amazing about the sound in this movie, but all the other Oscars it deserved wholeheartedly. And with that, that is my top 10 Best Picture winners at the Oscars. Tell me down below in the comments what you guys think about my list, and tell me what your guys' top 10 Best Picture winners from the Oscars are, because I know that some of the choices I've made are not choices that other people would make, and I know that other people have different tastes, so they have a different ranking and a different top 10 in general. So I would be curious to hear which movies you guys think are the best, Best Picture winners of all time at the Oscars. Well, as we go into this new Oscar season, I really wonder what out of all the movies that have buzz right now is gonna end up being the Best Picture winner. I mean, there are so many choices. And oh my gosh, it's just exciting to see what wins every year. Even if it's good or bad, it's just exciting to see what ends up on top. Well, thank you guys for coming to my channel and watching this whole video. And yeah, I'll see you guys around in the next video if you're around for that. So until then, I'm gonna go now. So yes, bye.